everybody. Welcome to the Fired Up with CJ show. We are continuing in part three of our interview with Diane Hartingh Price and Susan Ives McCollum about their book, Write Your Stress Away, Tame the Tensions in Your Life. Thank you so much for showing your beautiful book. And we were talking in the second segment. The first segment, we were talking about the process. The second segment, we were talking about some of the personal transformations that both of you had during some physical illnesses that you had, how writing actually saved your life by creating an assertive sense of what you need to do with your breast cancer, and then also how writing helped you not have a one-liner for your life being someone with diabetes. And what I wanted to talk about in this segment is the research that you've seen between writing and stress, and then also how writing can help with both mental and emotional stress.
Sure. It might take a minute just to talk about stress and how it's linked to the 6 leading causes of death, what stress does to the body. The latest statistics that we had gathered, 110 million people die every year as a direct result of stress. And the other part of, we can think of stress as episodic or, in the moment. And stress can also be a part of what's called the unconscious undercurrent. And the fact that we haven't evolved, our physical bodies have not evolved beyond the stress response of all the stress hormones that impact our body. And today, certainly in the world with COVID-19 pandemic and civil unrest and everything going on, there can be a lot of unconscious stress that we might think we're really calm and we're meditating and we're writing and we're exercising and we're doing all these things, but there's that unconscious piece. And part of our work in the research was there's a psychiatrist that started post-World War II doing research and has a book entitled The Body Keeps the Score, which I think it's Bessel van der Kolk. And I think it's very telling, the title of that book. And the research shows how holding emotion in the body, he and other researchers, how holding emotion in the body can result in disease. And the importance of getting that emotion out and really connecting emotion to events. And part of the first step of our Right to Be Well writing method, the importance of that first step with expressive writing is to write about the emotion and connect the emotion to the events that you're experiencing and be able to empty your body of it so that you can help strengthen your health. I'll pass it to you, Sue, in terms of some more of the research-related pieces.
Okay. Yes, James Pennebaker, back in the 1980s, started doing research about writing. And he wanted to know initially whether writing about your situation, your problem, your emotional health, a trauma or a stress would be just as beneficial as talking to a therapist. Because he said that there are a number of people that have a lot of shame around the stress and the trauma that they have dealt with throughout their life. And they don't want to really talk about it. So he started with that premise and established, a test group and found out that by having his test subjects write for 20 minutes at a time for 3 days in a row, that they felt better at the end of that 3 days. They weren't required to share their writing. They didn't have to, it was for their eyes only. It didn't matter how they wrote. They could, they could have had incomplete sentences. They could have just created a list. the most important thing, as Diane mentioned earlier, is that you had to connect the event or the situation that was troubling you to your emotions and how you felt about it. So that was the key. Further studies, he did actual blood tests, and he tested the blood before the writing and he tested it afterwards. And he wanted to find out if there was an increase in the immune function with T lymphocytes. And he did discover that those who wrote, according to his 20 minutes a day for 3 days in a row, had more T lymphocytes in their blood, which are the immune fighting cells, than those who didn't write. And based on his early research, there have been lots of other researchers who have also tested out the effectiveness of writing.
Okay, I love it. So I know the two of you have worked with clients through the process, and I'm wondering if you could just share as we close like a story about how someone had an emotional issue, maybe this unconscious kind of fears that are running around, how they, wrote those things out, and what you saw as some breakthroughs that you had with some clients.
Sure. Go ahead, Sue.
Yeah, okay. I can start with a woman that I worked with who was raised by an alcoholic mother and had never really dealt with it, but knew that she had a lot of baggage that she'd been carrying with her for much of her life because of some things that happened to her. She found out that through writing, she could unload what had really been weighing heavily on her heart, and that by going through the process, she was able to get some resolution so that she didn't feel victimized any longer, but that she had better control over her life. So I think that's an example of someone who was dealing with with a lot of emotional baggage, really, left over from her childhood. And she was doing this in her 60s. So it's never too late to learn from those early experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Diane.
So, a client who had, I'm going to say, a chronic weight challenge and emotional eating, very challenged with sticking to a lifestyle of healthy eating and exercise. And by writing and really setting the story of the future of what this person wanted to achieve in terms of a healthy body that was the right weight for her and contributed to her health. And this was an interesting experience working with her through writing, that she set a goal that she was going to run a 5K, and she had the support of her sister. And the first part of her goal, her future story was really about being healthy. She's a healthy individual who exercises, eats right, and in regular exercise. So she achieved her first goal of getting onto a lifestyle healthy eating, and the writing supported her to maintain that. Then the next goal was to run the 5K, the support of the sister to run it. And she just couldn't get out there. She laid out a plan of, I'm going to run on these days, et cetera, and she just couldn't get out there and make it happen. And so through the reflective writing, which is kind of the daily writing about the plan and where am I and what's in my way and what are the obstacles and where's my confidence level, through that daily reflective writing, she got in touch with the fact that one thing she missed in terms of what mattered was that she wanted to look good in a coordinated running outfit.
Oh. Sorry.
In a coordinated running outfit. And that's often the reaction when we share this story, that she wanted to look good. And the reason she wasn't going out in her baggy running pants and her t-shirt was because she still had self-image issues. And so she made it a goal to go buy an outfit that was the outfit she was going to wear when she ran the 5K with her sister. And she was going to stick to her exercise plan. And that's what she did. And she went on to run multiple 5Ks that she sets goals on an annual basis that she runs in regular 5Ks and maintains her exercise program and always looks the way she wants to look. So
Wow.
it might sound silly, but the inner emotion and the complexity of self image and the complexity of what does somebody else think of me when I'm out here running because I don't look exactly like the svelte athlete that I want to look like. But she was able to come to terms with that through her writing and
Mm.
achieve what she needed to do so that, physically, mentally, emotionally, she was in a good place that she could get well by doing that, be well, and stay well. And the writing
Mm.
really helped her do that. So we love to share that story
Yeah,
because
I
it's
love it. So
kind
it's
of
they
lighthearted.
so they tell their story. So probably each of them had the story about weight or with respect to the abuse, that they had when they were younger. Their affirmations or values that they would like to hold dear. And then they set goals, run a marathon. They had specific goals. And then afterwards, this is part of your SAGE. So
Mm-hmm.
tell the story, affirmation and values, setting goals with the G. And then the evaluative and commitment was that day in, day out writing to get clarity with like, why am I achieving my goals? If not, and if not, why not? And that's how you got into
Exactly.
the outfit. That's just a marvelous story. So then the journal then becomes kind of a kind of progression of someone's own development and where am I with respect to these goals. I love it.
Absolutely.
I'm going to use this process myself in the thing that we talked about earlier. Thank you so much. We've been talking to Diane Hartingh Price and Susan Ives McCollum about their book, Write Your Stress Away, Tame the Tensions in Your Life. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
CJ. You
Thanks,
appreciate it.
CJ.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show and would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.